Greetings from Muse Tales. Kindly subscribe and like this video. Each and every one of you is appreciated. Tell us from where in the world you are watching. Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Let's get started. Something changed inside Fátima the day Zoe stopped humming in the kitchen. She used to have gentle notes slipping from her lips while she stirred her tea, tied her apron, or waited for the kettle to hiss, but now there was nothing but quiet. She did nothing except stare in her cup that morning. No warmth, no song, no look. Fátima stood at the window, tying his tie, already in his work clothes. Sophia, the quiet pierced him more deeply than any words could. He spoke quietly so as not to disturb the silence. Zoe. Are you all right? Her eyes were cold and courteous as she turned. Of course, she said, her smile too flimsy to be real. Why wouldn't I be? Sophia, he noticed it. The gap in back of her eyes. The disconnection. The way she gripped her phone tightly beneath the kitchen towel, tilting it as if it were a secret. It wasn't paranoid. It was instinct. He gave her a cheek kiss, nodded, and grinned back. She didn't give it any attention. Like a statue, he just stood there. On that day, Fátima gave up on hope and began to observe. Their union had never been ostentatious. Sophia, it had been filled with steady, silent affection. Strolling for a long time at sunset. Pancakes on Sunday. It was easy to laugh. Plans made at midnight in bed. Whispered via gentle grins. When he worked late, Zoe was the girl who would run her finger along his arm's veins. She whispered that she was pleased with him. Now, though, she hardly raised her head when he walked in. He initially held himself responsible. Perhaps he put in too much work. Perhaps he didn't hear her subtly demanding attention. So he made a change. Arrived home early. Brought lilies home. Her fave. Went to supper with her. Attempted to get her to chuckle. Sophia, he only received 4 grins and staring eyes in response. Her screen. She always held it in her hand. Flipped down every time he entered the room. And that little deed. Tiny, unimportant, started to bite him. Silence that conceals something loud has a harsh quality. At around that moment, the dream began. His pulse would race when he woke up in the middle of the night, seeing Zoe giggling in someone else's arms. In the dark, he would cast a glimpse at her. Wondering if it was a dream after all, she curled up with her phone by her side and faced the wall. Carmen, the edges of reality were sharper. Fátima followed Zoe one evening after she announced that she was going to see her sister for the 3rd time in a week. No strategy. No charges. His hands went to the steering wheel in hushed desperation. He had no idea what to anticipate. She pulled into a downtown apartment complex parking lot, which caught him off guard. When she stepped out of the car wearing heels she hadn't worn in months, he wasn't prepared. He didn't think she would be buzzed up, grin, and press the buzzer. And he certainly didn't anticipate spending 3 hours sitting in his car in the pouring rain as the light from someone else's apartment window made him realize how unimportant he had become. He did not weep. He didn't yell. He did nothing except observe. Fátima silently turned on the ignition and drove home when Zoe eventually left, her coat undone, her lipstick a little smudged, and her phone back in hand. 2 hours later, she entered with casual eyes and wind-red cheeks. "Hey," she exclaimed, as like nothing had occurred. "Have you eaten?" He simply nodded from the couch without responding. She didn't notice the picture in his jacket pocket or the slight shudder in his hand. One thought was racing through Fátima's head as he lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling. He did, but she believes I don't. Zoe was unaware of, and would never have predicted, that Fátima, quiet, forgiving, and composed Fátima, was already formulating a scheme that would leave her speechless. And it would hurt when it struck. He understood that betrayal is more than simply losing someone. When they believe you're too damaged to defend yourself, it's about who they become into. Fátima, however, was unbroken. He was honing his skills. For 2 weeks, Fátima remained silent. Every morning, he continued to make her coffee the way she preferred, black, sugar-free. He continued to give her a cheek kiss before work, to smile at her casually, and to fold her laundry with care. Sophia, something had changed. At first, Zoe didn't notice. She was too engrossed in the rush and excitement of lying. The password had changed once more, and she never left her phone. She no longer bothered to conceal it. She simply imagined Fátima had stopped attempting to comprehend her distance long ago. Sophia, he hadn't. He was recording everything. He made a note of her whereabouts each time she left the house without telling him. She didn't imagine he would ever check the Uber receipts, the gas use, or the money. He took screenshots of late-night texts that she hadn't promptly erased, records of their joint finances, and emails that she was unaware had synchronized to the family PC. Fátima had changed. He was now calculating, chilly, and strategic, but not mean. Not quite yet. He continued to gaze at the ceiling at night, but it was no longer with sadness. Clarity was the key. Beneath the floorboards, Zoe's relationship blossomed like rot. The man was Arabella, a previous customer of her marketing company. He said all the right things, was charming, and was divorced. Zoe had quickly fallen for him, despite her earlier declaration that she wasn't the kind to cheat. She felt wanted, alive, and seen with Arabella. She didn't realize, though, and she wouldn't admit, that Fátima had nothing to do with the emptiness she felt. She did it based on decisions she made before ever meeting Arabella. From the void deep within her that could not be filled by lust. She held on to the illusion, though. In hotel rooms, Arabella mumbled promises, saying things like, "Charles deserved better," as he removed her wedding band. Zoe also trusted him. His praise was like oxygen to her. She desired to leave her marriage, but not in a respectable manner. No, she wanted a sense of triumph. Wished to injure Fátima. She therefore began to agitate him. She was critical of everything. His attire. His chuckle. His work. Referred to him as dull. Claimed that he no longer made her feel anything. Fátima merely grinned. She was unnerved by that smile. It was the grin of someone who was aware of something she was unaware of. When she got home one evening, she discovered him drinking wine in the dark on the balcony. She watched him for the first time in months. Observed closely. He had a calmness about him. A self-assurance that unnerved her. "Are you all right?" She folded her arms and asked. He avoided her gaze. "Never better." She blinked. She didn't anticipate that response. "I prepared dinner." Pretending to be gentle, she suggested. "I am not hungry," he said. The tiniest curl of his lips was visible in the weak light when he turned at last. No grin. "It's more like a secret being revealed." Calmly, he said, "I'm going to bed." Early gathering. She saw him enter. Fátima left before dawn the following morning. Zoe was unaware that Fátima was already meeting with a private lawyer as she slept, bringing documents, images, and evidence, and setting the stage for a divorce that would completely devastate her expectations. He had no desire for represalias. Not quite yet. Justice was what he desired. Keep quiet. Comprehensive. Unquestionable. That morning, he also made another call. Zoe never suspected this person. Saul, a buddy from her youth. Fátima was always friendly with Zoe's one friend, Saul. She had once told Zoe over wine, "If you ever hurt him, I swear, I'll take his side." She was a fiercely practical and devoted person. Fátima was calling that pledge in now. In the weeks that followed, Saul became his confidant. Something fragile started to grow after they met in parks and cafes, exchanged stories, and sobbed together once. Not love. Not quite yet. Sophia, connectivity. Zoe had thrown something away without appreciating its value. In the meantime, Zoe had decided. She intended to part ways with Fátima. Carmen only after she had exhausted him. Arabella opened up an offshore account for her, and she started moving modest sums of their combined savings into it. She explained it. It was also hers, she told herself. That all the comfort wasn't due to Fátima. Wasn't she the one who had endured the silent suffering? She was unaware that he was already aware. She was unaware that he had marked every transaction after replacing her financial advisor 3 months prior. The apartment Arabella had been showing her, the one he said they would share, wasn't even registered in his name, but she didn't know that. That Arabella was having a relationship. Since Arabella wasn't a moron. The pursuit, not the commitment, was what he enjoyed. And Zoe was the newest excitement. She was unaware of that at the time. Fátima, however, did. He was only waiting. She was waiting for the precise moment when her world would burn, tilt, and decline. She would finally realize what she had really ruined in that destruction. Zoe spent 5 whole minutes looking at the text on her screen. As the words burned into her mind, her thumb remained motionless above the respond button. I think you should stop messaging me. My girlfriend learned. I'm finished. Apologies. No signature. No warmth. Simply dismissal. She read it again and blinked hard. Her stomach churned. A girlfriend? They were destined to be, Arabella had assured her. That they would both find a home. That she was unique. Said this was a first for him. And now this. With a sickening swelling in her throat, Zoe clutched the bathroom sink's edge. Unable to endure another team meeting, she had left work early. She had a hollow chest. She had sweat on her palms. Her entire world, which she had meticulously constructed on falsehoods, was rapidly coming apart. Panna slipped in. She accessed their history of chats. Removed everything. She attempted to phone him. Directly to voicemail. Tried once more. Nothing. She sent a message to a coworker who had a casual acquaintance with Arabella. Hello, strange query. Are you aware if Arabella has a partner? The response was practically immediate. Yes, LOL. I've spent months with this girl, Amanda. I assumed you were aware. She constantly shares them. Zoe felt her blood run cold. Always. She jumped right into Instagram. Looked over Amanda's profile. Public. There are pictures everywhere. Amanda and Arabella at brunch. At a seaside house. In Paris. She gasped at one picture. Arabella on a pier, holding Amanda's hand. The same jacket. It was the same bracelet that Zoe gave him. The day he had kissed Zoe in that hotel room 3 days prior. She felt numb all over. She stumbled into the bedroom from the bathroom. She clutched her phone as if it would provide the answers to all the issues that were bothering her. Now, however, there was only one truth. And it was blazing across her soul like neon. She had been put to use. Played. Thrown away. Fátima, too. Fátima had remained silent. Displayed no suspicion. Made no noise. Just carried on as if he were the ideal husband. A fresh idea emerged. Furthermore, it frightened her more than Arabella's treachery. Could Fátima have known? As she navigated to her shared bank app, her palm trembled. She stopped. A number of transactions were lost. Moving wasn't missed. She made a deeper tap. New names for accounts. Lawful transfers. Lockouts. She checked her email. No access. She stumbled into Fátima's office at home. Locked. He didn't ever lock it. Her heart was pounding now. Her neck was slicked with sweat. She dialed his number. Directly to voicemail. Fátima. She gave the receiver a hiss. I must speak with you. Give me a call back. Right now. She spent an hour pacing. Next, too. At last. The door snapped open shortly after 7 o'clock. Fátima took over. The glass of calma. Wearing a stylish black coat. One hand holding the phone. The other is a briefcase. Zoe ran over to him. Pale face. We must speak. He arched an eyebrow. Concerning Arabella. She gasped. He was aware. Charles were aware. He avoided her. His briefcase was set down on the table. And a thin file was taken out. I was aware of the evening you began to fabricate those late encounters. I was aware of your password changes. I was aware of the day you smelled like cologne you hadn't worn when you got home. Zoe flopped down on the sofa. Fátima didn't speak louder. He didn't yell. He was at ease. Gathered. Horrible. Do you believe that I was merely waiting to be your fallback option? He inquired. Speak quietly. I've been getting ready. Silently. In a strategic manner. Since I knew you would pick Desordre. I was wrong. Zoe muttered. I'm crying now. He misled me. Oh, he said. Fátima gave a sour laugh. Charles did, too. Over several months. She bent over. A cracked voice. Sophia, we can resolve this. Slowly, he shook his head. We no longer exist. Then. The explosive device was dropped by him. Something else is involved. Zoe blinked. What? I've submitted a filing. The documents are finished. My attorney is awaiting your signature. The assets have already been relocated by me. The home. The stocks. Anything you attempt to steal stealthily from your freedom fund. Followed. Reclaimed. Lawfully. She opened her mouth. She was having trouble breathing. He bent in. And the knife she didn't anticipate was his comments. Oh. And I'm no longer by myself. I've been in a relationship. She's nice. Steady. Sincere. Everything you cease to be. No. Zoe muttered. Her hands gripped her abdomen. Charles can't, Fátima. I can, he muttered. And I did. The entrance door then opened once more. And Saul entered. The hair was pulled back. Radiant confidence. She gave Zoe a kind grin. Not in a sarcastic way. Not in a mean way. Just depressing. I informed you. Saul spoke softly. A tiny folder is placed on the table. I would support him if you ever hurt him. There was silence in Zoe's cry. Just a sudden gasp for air. Amelie around her, her world was disintegrating like damp ash. She observed Fátima touching Saul's back. Gently directing her to the corridor. He made one backward turn. Zoe, you wanted a battle. Charles simply had no idea how ready I would be. Then he disappeared. Abandoning her to the destruction she made. Arabella is not present. Not with Fátima. Nothing. It wasn't over, though. Not quite yet. Zoe wasn't finished burning, after all. Amelie she had to do was locate the ideal mate. Zoe was the only one awake on the first morning. The quiet was intolerable. The walls were scratched at. Squirmed beneath the covers. Like remorse, it was wrapped around her throat. The bed now seemed larger. Less full. Her phone had died. Fátima had stopped bringing flowers on Sundays. Even a mug that she cherished. The yellow one whose rim is chipped. Disappeared from the shelf in the kitchen. He accepted it. Not with malice. Carmen to remind her. He had once loved her. The true penalty was that. His absence was whispered in every stride taken through the house. There was nothing in the drawers she opened. I looked at her email. Access has been denied. She looked for bank accounts. Frozen. Her lawyer stopped responding to her texts. She attempted to contact Arabella. Voicemail is still in effect. She looked at her pictures. Focused on the ones where she appeared to be most content. The girl in them was hardly recognizable to her. When Saul arrived at the citing court for Fátima, Zoe's entire world fell apart. He refrained from boasting. He avoided her gaze. Not once. Like a silent executioner, Saul passed over the documents. Zoe was also hardly able to grip the pen. There was silence in the courtroom. Tidy. Expert. Chilly. Sophia, that evening. When she got back to her flat, which was vacant. She used to make jokes about how ambitious the little one was. Within her, something shattered. She was unable to cry. Unable to yell. She remained motionless in the corridor. Gazing at the wall. Until the blinds were bled across by sunrise. The fixation started at that point. It seemed subtle at first. She had updated Fátima's accounts on social media. Wishing for a surface fissure. Sophia, there were no posts. No pictures. Not a single update. Nothing but quiet. And that quiet. Calculated. Deliberate. Drove her crazy. She sent a message to her old pals. Nobody answered. She looked for mutuals. Sophia, Fátima looked to have vanished from every aspect of her existence. Aside from one. Saul. Zoe hadn't been blocked by her. Not quite yet. Zoe was hiding. Observed. Researched. Each and every caption. Each tag. Each flicker of Fátima's image in a restaurant seat corner or a wine glass. She saw his smile gradually come back. Her rage then blossomed into something more sinister. She was against his return. She desired to undo him. She made fictitious accounts. Planned to fabricate stories. Attempted to give the impression that Fátima had cheated first. Posted on gossip forums using a false identity. Implying that prior to the divorce, Saul had wooed him. One afternoon, she even arrived at Saul's workplace. Not invited. Weeping. Accusing. Recognizing pity. Saul remained unflinching. Calmly, she said, "Zoe. He was broken by you. I only assisted him in remembering how to breathe." She turned and left after that. Zoe had a drink that evening. Very much. In years, for the first time. "I didn't mean to lose him," she muttered as she gazed at the wall with tears streaming down her cheeks. Sophia, it was too late. Since Fátima was doing well. He started his own business. A dream he had but never ventured to follow. He was climbing now, unburdened by Zoe's incessant judgments and dismissals. Quick. His self-assurance came back like a blaze. He was well liked by his squad. Saul was standing next to him. Not as Zoe's shadow. Carmen as her own flame. Zoe's last move came at that moment. At his apartment she appeared. Hair coiled. Flawless makeup. Speak quietly. She had a photo album with her. Their record. The one he believed he had discarded. The door was opened by Fátima. Seen her standing there. And remained silent. "All I want to do is talk," she muttered. He looked at it for a long time. Then moved aside. Just for one reason. Finalization. The record was set on the table by her. Opened it to a page about their Spanish vacation. "Remember this?" she inquired. Glassy eyes. "I do," he said. "That was the last time you gave me a meaningful gaze." She winced. "I lost myself," she said in a whisper. "I felt alone. I had no idea how to ask for assistance. Arabella gave me the impression that I was wanted once more." He said, Charles could have told me. Charles wouldn't listen, I thought. I would have, he muttered. Sophia, you never offered me the opportunity. They paused for a long time. Zoe's voice then became softer. Fátima studied her, silent and motionless. I miss you. She added, I miss the man I used to know, grabbing his hand. I had to say it even though I know you've moved on. He gave her one more second to clasp his hand. Then he withdrew. He said, I'm not the man you knew. I learned how to be this version of myself from you. Thank you, then. He then got to his feet. Zoe, he said definitively. This will be our final conversation. With tears in her eyes, she nodded. She still had the storm inside of her, though. Not quite yet. Zoe wasn't made to lose, after all. And in the shadows, her last play, the one that would alter everything, was still being performed. Fátima, on the other hand, did not anticipate it. It was 3 weeks later. Zoe vanished from the spotlight. No more phony profiles. No more unexpected guests. No more voicemails pleading with Fátima to meet for a final conversation while intoxicated. Perhaps, he thought, she has finally let go. No, she hadn't. She was simply awaiting the ideal moment to attack. And it was awful when she did. 2 uniformed officers were waiting close to reception as Fátima arrived at his office one Tuesday morning, coffee in hand, Saul on the phone. They told him he was being investigated and gave him a sealed packet. For theft. Fátima initially chuckled. An instinctive response. It must have been an error. Before he opened the letter, that is. There were fake spreadsheets inside. Counterfeit signatures. Transactions were modified. Designed to give the impression that Fátima had embezzled funds from the original investors in his own business. Even terrible. Amelie board members had already received anonymous emails. His name was all over the place. The public relations team at his company was rushing. News began to spread. A burner account had provided the anonymous tip. Fátima, however, was aware. He was aware. Zoe. She had lost her mind. For the next 48 hours, he was surrounded by accountants, lawyers, and security specialists. The panic struck again for the first time since their divorce. Not due to the potential for her to take Sophia, because of what she may ruin. Saul was standing next to him. Steadfast. Enraged. Defensive. Her voice trembled with anger as she replied, She's trying to erase your future. We won't allow her. Fátima wasn't upset, though. His rage was over. He was now a surgeon. He collected everything. Every file that he had never made public during the divorce. The audio recordings. The backup messages. The pictures. Zoe is transferring funds under a fictitious LLC name, according to the account routing logs. The metadata. Demonstrating her financial history. He then made a single call. To the new employer of Zoe. Yes, in spite of everything. Zoe had just secured a prominent position in public relations at a large company. Stating that she was starting over. She was unaware that Fátima's mentor was also the company's top investor. Fátima also had receipts. Zoe wore a sharp beige suit and a fake grin when she arrived at work the following morning. She still had bruises on her heart. Sophia, she persuaded herself that she was getting back up. Surviving. She didn't ever reach her desk. She was stopped in the hallway by her supervisor. Gave a brown envelope to her. And uttered 4 words. Charles must go. Everything was in the envelope. Evidence of her deceit. The fraudulent report on embezzlement. Fátima's threats. Everybody was tracked down. Amelie confirmed. It's damning. On the spot, she was a fireball. Zoe noticed something chilly as she left the office into the heavy rain. She had nothing. No work. No, Arabella. No marriage. No house. No standing. No more authority. What about Fátima? He didn't simply make it through. He prospered. After the problem was resolved, his business just got stronger. His investors increased their stakes. The people felt sorry for them, considering him to be a man who had been wrongfully accused, assaulted in error. Nevertheless managed everything with taciturn elegance. His tale went viral. What about Saul? At the inaugural investor gala, she joined him in standing, hand in hand. Her gown glistened like the stars at night. The cameras flashed. The entire globe observed. Zoe, too. She also observed. She couldn't stop watching a video from a cracked iPhone in a remodeled flat on the outskirts of the city. Fátima was standing at the podium, calmly and clearly speaking into the microphone. I once gave my heart to a person who was incapable of keeping it. And I believed I would never trust again after they ruined it. Carmen, you don't have to pass away because of betrayal. It can sometimes shape you. More powerful. More intelligent. Indeed, it is cooler. To the people who started the fire in the first place, though. The audience burst out. Zoe switched the phone off. Still, his voice reverberated. She let the gadget fall to the ground, curled up on the floor, and gazed up at the ceiling. It wasn't karma. This was the result. Fátima didn't use his anger to ruin her. He buried her carefully. Because becoming unforgettable to someone who treated you like a disposable object is the most severe kind of retaliation. He didn't simply leave. He turned into everything she had never imagined he could be. Not with her. And that quiet. That unchangeable absence. More loud than any scream she could ever let out, it rang.